Hi friends! We're here at Port Orford Public Library, and this is the last video in our series for the MyPlate Healthy Holidays program. Today we're going to talk about different ways to look at food like a detective when you go to the grocery store. We want to look up close at what's on our labels of our food, and we want to look at different kinds of food and which might be best for us and where we might find them in the supermarket. So generally, if you're going shopping, did you know, and you might even ask your parents if they know, that the outer edges of the supermarket are usually the healthiest foods. That's where you're going to find those. So if you walk around all the outside walls of the store, you'll probably find healthier foods than if you walk in all the middle aisles where a lot of the things are that we love to eat, but aren't necessarily part of those 5 basic food groups, or they're not the best versions of them. So let's start in the produce section where we can get fresh food. One thing you notice the difference between fresh food and food in a package is there is no label on this fresh food. Well, sometimes there's a little label that tells you about how it was grown or who grew it, but there's not a label that gives us nutrition facts like you will see on all of the packaged food in our stores. The reason they need to tell us about the nutrition in it is because it's not fresh. You never know. It's been through a lot of processing, a lot of machines, a lot of different steps to be able to keep it in a package so it lasts longer, which is an important thing if we can't get our groceries fresh every day. So, produce is great if we can get it fresh. Sometimes we grow our own in the garden. Sometimes we buy it in the store or at a grower's market. Those are all good options. But if we want to buy some packaged foods, we're going to take a closer look at the nutrition facts on them and see which ones might be better for us and which ones we might want to avoid. If we're looking at beans, which as we might remember are a good source of protein and fiber, we'll take a close-up look at those nutrition facts. Not sure if you can see it, so I'm going to read it for you. But the nutrition facts on this, the things that we want to look at that really give us big clues as to whether this is something that's going to be good for our body, is looking at things like fat, fiber, protein, and sugar. Because those are the things that get our body going, the sugars and fats, but we don't want too much of them, right? If you watch the other videos and read your MyPlate stuff, you'll know all about that. But this can of beans in 1 serving, so there's 3.5 servings in here. So that's something to pay attention to too. How much is a serving size? Do we want to eat the whole can at one time? Not a good idea. You could split this between your family. But 1 serving of these beans gives you a whole 10 grams of fiber and 7 grams of protein. So this is an A1 good food to look out for. You can even make your own beans if you buy dried beans in the store and soak them and boil them and cook them up with spices. They come out really good. But canned beans is a good option. Another food that has pretty impressive nutrition facts is tofu. And in our tofu, we can see that it doesn't have a lot of calories. Remember, calories are a measure of how much energy the food is going to give us. So it has 45 calories, which is enough to get us going, but not so much that we're going to have a lot of extra that's going to just sit on our bodies if we don't use up that energy. It doesn't have much fat at all, 1.5 grams, and there's no sugars going on. So that's a good thing. Also has a good amount of calcium, which if you remember is good for our bones. Speaking of calcium, speaking of tofu, which comes from the soy plant, we have soy milk, which is a good alternative to dairy milk, which comes from a cow. And there's good ways to look at, you could hold these side by side and look at the nutrition facts on those. These are things you can do when you go to the store with your folks. Say, hey, I want to check these out closer. You might even bring along your magnifying glass, just for fun, so you can see it really well. And compare the soy milk with the cow milk. You say, how much calories does each one have? how much fat, protein, calcium, all those good things, and sugars, just so you know. Speaking of sugars, this is the time of year when eggnog makes itself known. And some people don't like it, some people do. I happen to like it very much. And until I read the nutrition facts, which is not necessarily something you want to read if you really like a food and you're worried about if it's good for you. But if you're concerned about keeping your body well, you want to take a look and just pace yourself on it. Don't drink the whole container at once. Believe them when they say the serving size of eggnog is a half a cup. So we don't want to drink it all at once. Same with butter. Remember about the serving size. We saw this when Tammy, our friend the nutritionist, did some videos with us. And a serving size is just like a teaspoon, just like that little sliver on the end. Not even up to there, because that's 3 teaspoons equals a tablespoon. We don't want too much at once, but a little bit is very good for our bodies. And oats are a great way to start the day in the morning. You can also add healthy things to your oats. These are plain ones, because we don't need to buy them with sugar already in it. We can add a tiny bit of sugar if we would like it. We could also add some fruit, fresh fruit like an apple or dried fruit. Lots of options for making yummy oatmeal on a cold morning like the ones that are coming up. In the department of really gotta be careful foods, we'll find sugar. And if we're baking for the holidays, this is something that most people add to their baking projects. Cookies and cakes, and they're so yummy because of sugar. But sugar has 15 calories in just one little spoonful, plus 4 grams of sugar in that one. That can add up really quickly, so we don't want to have too much of that at one time. When you want to see how quickly that can add up, look at some of the canned drinks around. You'll see that this small size can of soda has 90 calories. And remember our diets when we looked at if you're between 4 and 10 years old, you don't want more than 1,600 calories. So this is a pretty good chunk of what you're going to have in a day just to start off with this little drink. It also, I hope you're sitting down, this has 25 grams of sugar in just a tiny can. So just think if you had a very big cup from the convenience store, a really big soda because you're so thirsty, you might want to consider other options because that's just so much sugar for your body. It's not good for your health. You could have an option like this bubbly water. Sparkling water is pretty tasty. This one has a little bit of fruit infused into it, a natural fruit flavor. And it has 0 calories. Because it's water. Remember, most of our body is made up of water, so we always want to add water when we can. A couple other things we want to think about when we're in the snack department is to compare what's the best version of something that we can have. If we have a hankering for some popcorn, we're going to watch those Christmas movies, and I want some popcorn to eat while I'm watching. Do you think it's better to have this kind of popcorn that comes in a bag? And it tells us it has no fat in it. So that means that there's no butter added at all or oil. It does have some salt in it to make it a little bit tasty. Or do we want this microwave popcorn that if we look at all the nutrition facts on there, we find out has a whole different story going on. Let me see. It has 12 grams of fat. That's a big difference. So, if you decide to have the microwave one, you might want to think about eating less of it. And the same goes with things like chips, crackers, all your different choices to compare. And look at those nutrition facts before you buy, just when you're going grocery shopping. It's a good thing to think about, and we want you to think about being healthy because we care about you. And we hope you have happy, healthy holidays. Thanks for joining our program for the MyPlate. If you didn't get a packet through the schools, come on down to the library, and while supplies last, we've got some here for you to pick up. And they've got some really cool stuff in there, a special plate that will help you eat healthier, and a lot of fun things, and some healthy snacks. So come on down when you get a chance. We look forward to seeing you at the library. Bye now.